Welcome all. In the last two lectures, we discussed the properties of LC emittance function and RL impedance function. That is, using these properties, we can identify whether the given function is a LC emittance function or an RL impedance function. In this lecture, we will discuss about the properties of RC impedance function. Let us start. The first property is that all the poles and zeros will lie on the negative real axis. That is, all the poles must be real and their values should be negative. The second property is all the poles and zeros should interlace. If you remember, interlace means alternate each other. That is, if we have a zero first, then it should be followed by a pole, and then a zero, then a pole, and in this fashion. The third property is that is, singularity nearer to the origin must be a pole. In another words, I can write that if it is a ZRC function, then it will tend to infinity if I put s equal to 0. As s tends to 0, the value of the function will tend to infinity. Similarly, YRL of s will tend to infinity as s tends to 0. Residues of ZRC will be real and positive. That is, if it is a impedance function, it will have real and positive residues. Similarly, the residues of YRL of S will be real and negative. That is, the residues of YRL will be real and negative. It means this: if I calculate the residues of YRL of S by S, the residues will be real and positive. This is the reverse case as we discussed in the RL impedance function. In RL impedance function, let me write it. We discussed residues of ZRL will be real and negative, but if we calculate the residues of ZRL by S function, they will come out to be real and positive. This is completely in reverse to that of RC. If we have any impedance function and we go on to find out its residues, and their residues comes out to be real and positive, then that function will be a ZRC function, else it will be a ZRL function. Let us discuss some numericals based on it. So we have this function where Zs is equal to s plus 1 into s square plus 2 divided by s plus 3 into s square plus 4, and we are required to check whether it is a ZRC function or not. We will apply the condition number 1. We will check whether all the poles and zeros of the given network function are lying on the negative real axis or not. Let us calculate the zeros first. Using this, the 0 will be lying on s equal to minus 1, and using this I will have two zeros which will be lying on plus minus root 2 j. Similarly, the poles will be using this. I will have a pole lying at minus 3, and using this I will have two poles which will be lying on plus minus 2j. Now let us plot these poles and zeros on S plane. Say we have this S plane, and let us plot these poles and zeros. We have S equal to minus 1, a 0 here. At S equal to minus 1 we have a 0, so I will encircle it. Similarly, at plus and minus root 2j, root 2j will be above 1, say it is 1, and then this is 1.5 almost. So I have a 0 existing here. Similarly, say if it is 1, then I have a 0 existing here, which is plus root 2j and minus root 2j. Let us plot the poles. I have a pole at S equal to minus 3. So if it is 1, S equal to minus 3 will be here. This is minus 3, this is minus 1. And I have other two poles at plus minus 2j. If it is 1, then there will be 2. So we have a pole lying here, also a pole lying here, minus 2j and plus 2j. Now from the pole 0 plot, I can see that there are some poles and zeros which are lying on the negative real axis, but there are other poles and zeros which are lying on the imaginary axis, which is violating the condition number 1, and hence I will say that it is not a ZRC function. If it is not a ZRC function, can it be a ZRL function? Let us check. For a ZRL function, all the poles and zeros should lie on the imaginary, on the real axis, negative real axis, and hence I would say that it is also not a ZRL function. Similarly, if I check it to be a LC function, then all the poles and zeros must lie on the imaginary axis only. There should be no poles on real axis. Hence, it is not neither a LC function, not a RC function, and nor a RL function. Let's discuss the second numerical. We have Zs equal to S plus 2 into S plus 4 divided by S plus 3 into S minus 1, and we have to check whether it is a ZRC function or not. Let us check the condition number 1. The condition number 1 says all the poles and zeros of the given polynomial must lie on the negative real axis. Let us find out its poles and zeros. Zeros are lying on minus 2 and minus 4, and poles are lying on minus 3 and plus 1. And if I go on to plotting these, this pole will lie on the right hand side of the S plane. So the given function will not be a ZRC function. So in example 3, we are given a ZS function which is equal to S plus 2 into S plus 3 divided by S plus 4 and S plus 1. Let us check for the first condition. The zeros will lie on minus 2 and minus 3. Similarly, the poles will lie on minus 4 and minus 1. Let us plot them on S plane, and this is our S plane. We have a pole at S equal to minus 1, so I will put a mark here. At S equal to minus 2 we have a 0, at S equal to minus 2 we have a 0, at S equal to minus 3 we have a 0, and at S equal to minus 4 we have a pole. So I will mark a cross here. So as we can see, all the poles and zeros are lying on the negative real axis. So I will say the condition 1 is verified. Condition 1 is verified. Now we will check the condition number 2. The condition number 2 says the poles and zeros must interlace each other. Let us check. In the start we have a pole, but after a pole we have a zero. The condition is satisfied till this point, but after this zero we have another zero. For the interlacing condition there should be a pole, but we have a zero here, hence I will say the condition 2 is not verified. The poles and zeros are not interlacing. Hence it will not be a ZRC function. In this example, we are given a impedance function s plus 2 into s plus 4 divided by s plus 1 into s plus 3, and we have to check whether it is a ZRL function or ZRC function or not. Let us check it. The condition number 1 says the poles and zeros must lie in the negative real axis. So the zeros are lying at minus 2 and minus 4, and the poles are lying at minus 1 and minus 3. Let us plot them. We have this S plane, and at s equal to minus 1 we have a pole, at s equal to minus 3 we have a pole, but at s equal to minus 2 we have a 0, and at s equal to minus 4 we have a 0. So all the poles and zeros are lying on the negative real axis, so we will say the condition number 1 is verified. Now we will check the condition number 2, which says the poles and zeros must interlace each other. Let us see. We have a pole, and after this pole we have a 0, and after this 0 we have a pole, and after this pole we have a 0. That is, all the poles and zeros are interlacing each other, and hence I will say the condition number 2 is verified. Now I will check the condition number 3, which says the singularity nearer to the origin must be a pole, and as we can see we have this origin, and the singularity nearer to this origin is a pole, so I will say the condition number 3 is also verified. Now we will check the condition number 4, which says the residues of the poles must be real and positive. So let us calculate the residues of the poles. We have this ZS, which is equal to s plus 2 into s plus 4 divided by s plus 1 into s plus 3. So the residue at s plus 1, residue s plus 1, it will be calculated as multiplying ZS with the given pole s plus 1 and then substituting s equal to minus 1. We will get, on multiplying this s plus 1 with ZS, this s plus 1 will cancel out, and we will get s plus 2 into s plus 4 whole divided by s plus 3, and we will substitute s equal to minus 1. After substitution I will get three by 2. So this is the residue, and this residue is positive. Similarly, we will calculate the residue for s plus 3. So the residue of s plus 3, this will be equal to we will multiply ZS with s plus 3 and substitute s equal to minus 3. I will get s plus 2 into s plus 4 whole divided by s plus 3, and I will substitute s equal to minus 3 in this expression. I will get and this will be equal to 1, which is again positive. Hence the residues of s plus 1 and s plus 3 are positive, and the condition 4 is also verified. So ZS is a ZRC function and it can be realized using R and C. That's it for this lecture. I hope you liked the lecture. From the next lecture onwards, we will discuss the methods of synthesis. Till then, thank you so much for listening.